side, the 11th-seeded Lake Zurich Bears have been here before. They've got an opportunity for the school's 10th ever semifinal berth after knocking off the defending state champions last week. It's the 7A IHSA playoffs on Clutch Sports Media. Welcome to Pekin, everybody. Alongside John Camosa, it's Larry Larson in with you. Glad you're with us on your Saturday. And John, this is going to be a heck of a matchup. It's one of the state's best offenses against one of the state's best defenses.
Yeah, let's start with the Dragons on the offensive side, averaging 44 points a game. Lake Zurich's defense only 7.7. They're going to look to put a stop to the run game that Pekin throws at them.
Unstoppable force versus immovable object, perhaps. Digging a little deeper into Pekin's offense, last week in a victory over Normal Community, they did something that we haven't seen them do all year, and that's heavily rely on the passing game and their quarterback, Scott Jordan.
Yeah, early on, Normal Community really put a stop to the run game that we've seen from Sprecher and Tyler. They went to Scotty Jordan and Bo Benassi. It really paid off for Pekin.
As for Lake Zurich, they've got talent on both sides of the ball, up and down the roster. Tyler Erkman, a wide receiver committed to North Dakota, and then Danny Vukovic, even at kicker, going to NIU, but their defense is led by the linebackers Lincoln Adams and Cal Grabowski.
Yeah, Adams and Grabowski, huge on the defensive side. Those guys have really been the spark plug that have powered the Bears all season long, why their defense has been so crucial.
The weather has turned cold, but the heat is turned up. Whoever wins today is one win away from state. We'll have all the action for you next on Clutch Sports Media. And we are moments away from kickoff from Pekin Memorial Stadium. The stands are packed. And John, as we mentioned at the top of the show, it's freezing cold, but everybody is ready to go. Both these teams just one win away from the state semifinals. Lake Zurich will open the game by kicking, and Pekin will receive. Kanye Tyler and Connor Drowns back deep. It's a line drive kick. Off the leg, the D1 leg at that of Danny Vukovic. And it's a touchback, as it so often is with Vukovic, and Pekin will start from their own 20. John, anytime you get into Class 7A in Central Illinois, things get interesting because Pekin is so geographically separated from everybody else. It's a long road to state today for Lake Zurich. Almost 3 hours.
Yeah, and they still came full force. They brought a nice visiting crowd over there on the opposing side. This is when you're playing your best football, Larry. Quarterfinal action. I'm looking forward to this one.
Pekin's offense led onto the field by their senior quarterback, Scott Jordan, and he gives up the gut to the senior running back, Tanner Sprecher, who keeps the legs moving for a gain of 3 or 4 on first down. And John, this Pekin offense, led by senior after senior on the line, in the backfield, under center, out wide. So many different pieces that can do damage.
Yeah, and that's what's given them so much success this season. Like you said, up front is really where they pride themselves. Big blocks that opens those holes for Tanner Sprecher and Kanye Tyler. They're going to look to try to do that today.
Jordan in the pistol. Sprecher gets the carry again, and he's dragged down short of the sticks. It's going to be close, and they give him the first down. John, last week, Tanner Sprecher scored 2 second-half touchdowns, including the game-tying touchdown with 30 seconds left. And he also rushed for 135 total yards.
Yeah, he's been big all season, and he's only continued to get better in the postseason. Lake Zurich knows that on the scouting report. You see early on up here those linebacker positions with Cal Grabowski and Lincoln Adams. They're going to have to be big for the Bears.
Kanye Tyler in motion. Sprecher gets another carry, and he's going nowhere that time. Lake Zurich's defense fired up, led by Tyler Berkeley, the 3-year starter at linebacker.
And Larry, similar to what we saw last week early on against Normal Community, the run game was getting stopped. Pekin went back to the pass with Scotty Jordan and Bo Benassi. We'll look to see if we see that combo hookup today.
So often this season it has been the ground and pound offense, but last week you mentioned it, Jordan passed for a career-high 283 yards. 2nd and 8. It's a jet sweep to Connor Martin. Looks for space on the outside and has none. There's Cal Grabowski making a play on the outside, and it's third down.
Yeah, and that's one player that Pekin likes to utilize is Connor Martin. Same type of play last week with that end around, and this time Lake Zurich picks it up.
No gain on the play, third down.
No gain. And you figure that this is a passing situation for Jordan. Goes to the hard count. 3 receivers set. Houston Roberson at the bottom of your screen. Bo Benassi, the team's leading receiver, at the top. Play clock winding down. Low snap. Jordan looking for Tyler, and it's deflected away by Tyler Erkman. The Division I wide receiver commit makes a big play on defense, and Pekin is stopped on third down.
Yeah, that's one player to key on for Lake Zurich is Erkman. You see right there, read that play perfectly. He's been such a key piece in this Lake Zurich defense.
Back deep for the Bears.
For a team that's only allowing 7.7 points per game and only gotten better in the postseason.
And John, this is a challenge that Pekin has not faced this season. A stout defense like Lake Zurich. They've faced good competition in Central Illinois, but nothing like this, like Lake Zurich out of the North Suburban Conference.
And anytime you go deeper and deeper in the postseason, you're going to run into these type of matchups. Pekin with a big home crowd on hand, they'll look to try to make some noise on offense.
Luke Goss boots it away, and Tyler Erkman makes a dangerous fair catch in traffic to set up the first offensive possession for Lake Zurich. We'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors today, starting with Zach Butler State Farm here in Pekin. For all your insurance needs, give him a call, 309-347-3115, or visit him online at sfbutler.com. And also, all our State Farm agents around the Peoria area making our coverage possible, Jody Brown, Zach Butler, and Jake Weston. Lake Zurich's offense, led by the senior quarterback Ashton Gondek, in his first year starting for the Bears. Out of the gun. And he's got Chris Peroni in the backfield. Gondek out of the pocket, slings it to Erkman. And the Division I wide receiver has a first down on his first catch of the ball game.
And not only defensively, but offensively, Erkman, you could see, separates, gets that space. He's a dangerous threat in the wideout.
Erkman last week only had 2 catches for 20 yards, but he did have a 50-yard run to seal the game for the Bears in the fourth quarter. A jet sweep play they drew up especially for Erkman. That's just the type of player he is. You got to get him the ball. Peroni gets the ball on first down, and he's stuffed at the line. Tanner Sprecher and Shaman Handigan, the senior linebacker duo, was there to stop him.
Yeah, Larry, and anytime you get into these big postseason games, you want to get your key players going. Like we talked with Pekin, Tanner Sprecher, and Kanye Tyler. Same goes for Lake Zurich. Want to get Erkman going early for their success on offense.
And you look outside of Tyler Erkman into the backfield with Chris Peroni and Cal Grabowski. I was talking to head coach Ron Plans for Lake Zurich, and he said, you know, Pekin's got number 1, number 2, and number 8. We've got our own duo in the backfield in Grabowski and Peroni. Two-headed monsters on both sides. Grabowski gets the give, and he's stopped. Gain of 1, if that. Jace Hackman brings him down.
Grabowski on the carry for the Bears.
Yeah, Larry, and we touched on that in pregame. Almost like looking in the mirror with Pekin. So many weapons on their side. Equally the same with Lake Zurich. The only difference is Pekin's high-powered offense matches up with a really sound defense in Lake Zurich.
Pekin's defense, nothing to scoff at either. Allowing under 17 points per game this season. Last week at Normal Community, they did not allow a third down conversion. It's 3rd down and 9 here. Gondek, plenty of time, over the middle, and it's picked. Aiden Houston all over it. His team leading 6th interception this season. That could be the biggest.
And you just touched on that, Larry. That defense has been so sound for Pekin. How about that read from Aiden Houston there to intercept that? And we've seen that throughout the season. Pekin reading those pass plays, able to get their hand on it and pull it down.
Just the 4th interception this season out of the hand of Ashton Gondek. The steady-handed senior makes a gaffe there on Lake Zurich's first drive. Both defenses rising to the occasion. We'll see if we see some offense. Pekin will start the drive from their own 15. Jordan on the quarterback draw up the gut. Wrapped up after a gain of 8.
Quarterback keeper by Scott Jordan.
And that was big last week for Pekin in the win over Normal Community. We saw Scott Jordan not only throw the ball a lot, but he also kept it himself. We see that early on, trying to create some space for himself, the do-it-all quarterback.
Jordan had a rushing touchdown last week as part of Pekin's 13-point second half comeback. Sprecher with the carry this time, charges through the line and keeps on going. First down, Pekin.
And Larry, he's one of those players, it almost doesn't matter which type of team he runs into, he's going to make sure he gets those extra yardage. He's just a full head of steam in that backfield for the Dragons.
Ball on the 35-yard line.
You're not able to see it at home, but Doug Nutter is furious on the Pekin sideline looking for the face mask call. He didn't get it, but he's letting the officials have it early.
To the 33-yard line.
First and 10 for Pekin. Sprecher again. Bounces to the outside, has some space towards midfield. He's wrapped up.
Another huge run there from Sprecher. Bounces off of Houston Robertson and picks up some extra yardage.
17-yard gain on the play. Ball
17-yard run for Tanner Sprecher, who had a 66-yard run on the very first play from scrimmage of the playoffs. Tanner Sprecher lives for these games, John.
Oh, he does. He always gets up for the big ones, and he's just been such a force in the backfield. He's trying to show that early.
Kanye Tyler gets his first carry, and it goes nowhere. Cal Grabowski all over it. Gain of 1 on first down.
Kanye Tyler on the carry.
And almost on the flip side, what we see with Pekin, Sprecher, and Tyler, not only in the backfield, but they both are so sound on defense. Same thing with Grabowski and Erkman there for Lake Zurich.
Second down and 7.
Tyler with a little bit more of a gain than we initially realized. He bounces to the outside on second down, breaks a tackle towards the sticks, and that's a first down. Tyler the most dangerous when he's on the outside. Part of a very dangerous Pekin rushing attack. 2 1,000-yard rushers this season.
Yeah, and with Kanye Tyler, too, is what we've seen. He likes to cut it around to the outside, get that quick step back upfield. Right there, sheds a tackle, able to pick up that first down. Pekin trying to keep it running on the ground.
They're in a rhythm now into Lake Zurich territory. They keep it with Kanye for a gain of 2.
On the carry.
Sprecher back in. But John, this is not what we saw from Pekin last week, or even arguably in their first week playoff game against Plainfield Central. They got off to slow starts in both those games, but today in their second drive on offense, they're finding their footing.
And I think it's big in any postseason game, that first team to strike first. Obviously, Pekin being at home, big crowd behind them. They want to put that momentum out there early on. Nice drive the Dragons are putting together right now.
Jordan slings it to Tyler. Flag flies. And we'll see if this one comes back. But Tyler also a very dynamic threat in the run game. And the passing game, I should say. We've detailed the run game plenty. This one's going to go against Pekin. False start, so no play.
We'd like to credit on the previous play, Nate Snap.
Larry, we've talked about this through the weeks. You know, little penalties here and there. First one we've seen today, but those are going to be crucial anytime you come down the stretch, and pushes them back a couple yards, but Pekin a chance to reset here.
2nd and 13.
Second down and 13.
And you figure that this is a passing situation.
You would have to assume.
Jordan coming off a career high performance last week, climbs the pocket, throws over Kanye Tyler. Had him on the crossing route that we saw a number of times last week for Bo Benassi and Kanye Tyler. Can't convert there. Lake Zurich student section bundled up in their white. Almost looks like a snowstorm over there. There were some flurries, and there are flurries falling right now. Just a reminder of what time of year it is, John.
Yeah, we're in the quarterfinals right now, moving ahead. It's only going to get colder here in central Illinois.
Wind blowing into Pekin's face on 3rd and 13. Jordan out of the pocket, and he's clobbered past the original line of scrimmage.
Luke Goss on the scramble for the Dragons.
Now Pekin with its first big decision of the day. Do you go for it or do you punt?
It'll bring up 4th down for the Dragons.
Looks like the offense might stay on the field here. But that's a big-time statement if you can try to get a first down. We'll see if they go back to the pass here.
Jordan in the gun. It is the pass. Jordan throws, and it's picked. Grabowski on the return towards the sideline. Jordan escorts him out of bounds. Cal Grabowski, the senior, makes a big play.
Yeah, kind of a tough decision there for Scotty Jordan. Looked like he wanted to get to the outside and run that ball. Not a lot of space on the outside. Threw it off of his back foot, ends up in the hands of Grabowski as Lake Zurich takes over.
Both senior quarterbacks with a first quarter interception after entering with 3 apiece. That's just how good both these defenses are. So Lake Zurich takes over on their own 41. Gondek with Peroni beside him. Peroni the carry, squeaks through the line but gets tripped up after a nice first down gain.
Yeah, nice job by Peroni there. Almost just kind of slipped right through both defenders on the defensive line, able to get that extra yardage. And it's a similar style offense we've seen out of Lake Zurich. They like to run the ball. They do throw a little bit as well.
Gain of 5, it'll be 2nd and 5 for the Bears.
I asked head coach Ron Plans about that. I said, are you guys more 50-50? Are you more run heavy, pass heavy? He said, depends on the game. Shaman Handigan knocks down Peroni there, and that makes it 3rd down.
Shaman Hannigan on the stop.
And really, with any good team, you get to this point in the year, you got to have a lot of balance.
Well, certainly, and I think, you know, as much as we talk about Pekin's offense, their defense equally as good. And in a game like this, it's when it's really going to have to put on their best showing. And right now, the defensive line up front has been stout for the Dragons.
Tyler Erkman is the lone receiver at the bottom of your screen. 3rd and 5. Gondek on the keeper. Doesn't have any blocks, and he's slammed by Hodgson. Cam Hodgson, the senior safety, charges ahead to make the play. Defense reigning supreme early.
Tried to sell the QB keeper, but how about the read there from Hodgson, able to wrap him up. He's been so crucial on defense for Pekin all season and even going into the postseason.
Kanye Tyler back for the Dragons.
Danny Vukovic, the NIU commit, and punter for Lake Zurich, out onto the field, and Kanye Tyler, also a player who's gotten a lot of Division I interest, is back to return. Vukovic gets it off, had pressure coming. Tyler lets it bounce, out of bounds. Good punt for Vukovic. Takes us to our first break. Back after a quick word from Uftring. Welcome back to Pekin Memorial Stadium, where defenses on both sides have stepped up big early, both sides with an interception. Scott Jordan threw 2 last week, His only multi-interception game of the season. Here he gives to Connor Martin on a bit of a trick play, and he goes nowhere.
Martin on the carry for the Dragons.
John, so uncharacteristic to see Jordan take risky throws like the one that resulted in that interception last drive.
Yeah, kind of a forced play there. Like I said, he was trying to go for the run there. He knew he didn't have enough yards on the outside, decides to throw it, but threw right into coverage.
Tyler on the jet sweep to the outside, has a little space, and he's pushed out of bounds.
Tyler makes the turn.
30 seconds left in the first quarter. This one was flown by, in large part because of those
9-yard
defenses.
gain on the play. It'll be 3rd and 1 for the Dragons.
3rd and 1 coming up for Pekin. They bring in the heavy set with Tanner Sprecher at running back. Kanye Tyler heads to the sideline.
And I think we kind of
3rd down.
could expect that coming in, that both defenses, how sound they are. It'll be a scoreless game early.
Sprecher fighting for the sticks. I don't think he got there.
Being met up by number 41, Lincoln Adams.
They are going to
Lincoln
move.
Adams stopped him, but
Gain of a yard
not
on
soon
the
enough.
ball on the 25-yard
Forward
line.
progress
There it
gets him
is.
there.
1st down, Pekin.
Clock is running. It looks like Pekin might take this to the second quarter. Trying to rebuild that offensive momentum they had before the interception. That will indeed take us to the second quarter. All defense in quarter number 1 in the 7A quarterfinals between Pekin and Lake Zurich. No score on CSM and CIProud.com.
Hi, I'm Tim Vonderheide. Has been Central Illinois' flooring leader for over 75 years, and our goal has never changed. Giving you the best selection of flooring at prices you can afford. Because after 75 years, Vonderheide is still the place to go.
I couldn't get through life. Keep hoping and praying for a miracle. That's what these machines are. These beds start pulling your back slowly apart. You get blood flow. And when you get blood flow, you're going to get the nutrients, you're going to get the oxygen. Your back can start to heal. If you're thinking about a back surgery, or you have a back injury that's causing you to not live like you want to live, why not come and talk to Doc? Because it's a free consultation and it could change your life.
Hi, I'm Tim Vonderheide. Vonderheide's has been Central Illinois' flooring leader for over 75 years, and our goal has never changed. Giving you the best selection of flooring at prices you can afford. Because after 75 years, Vonderheide's is still the place to go.
The Dragons at their own 25-yard line.
Welcome back to Pekin Memorial Stadium. Thanks for joining us on your Saturday afternoon on CSM. It's the 7A quarterfinals between Pekin and Lake Zurich. The winner advances to the state semifinals to play the winner of Batavia and Yorkville. On first down, Scott Jordan slings it to Kanye Tyler, and he is wrapped up.
Pass to Kanye Tyler.
Pass coverage there from the linebacker, John
Immediately
DiGustino.
hit by John Gustino.
Just trying to get some of those short gains going right there. Like Zurich's defense picks it up quick. We haven't seen Pekin go deep a whole lot in this game, only a few times. But with some of that wind blowing in, might be harder to get that ball, especially with the how cold it is as well. See Scotty Jordan keeping those hands warm.
He gives to Tanner Sprecher up the gut, and he's pushed backwards. And in case you're just joining us, this is pretty much what we saw all first quarter. Total offense incredibly hard to come by. Pekin with just 78 yards, Lake Zurich with 14. And for comparison, last week, Pekin had 522 yards in their win over Normal Community. Jordan steps up to pass, looking deep for Benassi, and he hauls it in. John, I don't know about you, but that was a clear push-off that the officials missed.
I think Lucas Leppin was looking for that, kind of frustrated with the official. Benassi able to get that extra space. Did look like a push, but he's able to pull it down. Referee says no. Pekin, what a play to move the chains.
Where it is,
Jordan's throw was a little bit short of Benassi, and still credit to Benassi for making that play. Jordan goes under center. Martin in motion, gets the carry, breaks one tackle, can't get past another. Spencer Kuehl knocks him down. But John, Bo Benassi coming off a career performance. I talked to him earlier this week. I said, have you ever had a game like that? He said, oh, absolutely not. That was the best game of my life.
And you could see after some of those big plays last week with Jordan and Benassi how it really sparked other parts in the offense, especially the run game. Gave him a lot of confidence.
Sprecher spins out of one tackle before he gets pushed back. Forward progress will give him a gain of 1 or 2 and make it 3rd and medium.
Forward progress.
You think Pekin goes to the air again?
Could try to get Benassi open again over the middle. He loves to run that slant route if they can find him. Like Zurich's secondary, though, trying to pick up some good coverage. So we'll see if they keep it on the ground here, 3rd and 4. You got your speedster and Tyler back there.
He's alongside Jordan. It is Tyler. Takes a deep route to the outside, and he's dragged down. What a play by Lucas Lappin. The sophomore comes up big.
Correction, Lucas Lappin.
And Tyler trying to find something there on the outside. Couldn't get the blocks. And going nowhere on that play. Another big stop for Lake Zurich. This has just been a defensive battle back and forth.
Luke Goss will punt for the Dragons.
Luke Goss, the junior punter, will boot it away. The wind is now swirling, flying across the field. Tyler Erkman, so dangerous, back deep to return, punt nearly blocked. Erkman fakes a little jump in there, but lets it go, and it's downed inside the 15. We want to thank our sponsors this afternoon for making our coverage possible. First, Zach Butler, State Farm here in Pekin. For all your insurance needs, home, auto, life, give Zach a call, 309-347-3115, or online at sfbutler.com. We want to thank all our good neighbors around the Peoria area for making our coverage possible all season long. Jody Brown, Jake Weston, and Zach Butler. Ashton Gondak and company. Take back over, Gondak overthrew his tight end Connor Clausen on the slant. He had him wide open, could have been 6.
Yeah, he did, right over the top there, just a little bit over his head, but what a route there from the big tight end. Right past the secondary.
Ashton Gondak last week, John, in incredibly adverse conditions, strong winds, a little bit of rain too. He only passed for 41 yards. Today he's thrown it a number of times, but not there, and Chris Peroni is pushed backwards.
There's that strong defensive line up front again for Pekin, able to push him backwards.
Braden Beckham on the stop. He's a Division I recruit. Offers include Butler. Team's leading tackler brings up 3rd down. As flurries continue to fly. The crowd comes to life. Lake Zurich spreads it out. Erkman in the slot on the bottom of your screen. Gondak over the middle into traffic. Tyler hauls it in. He's going to have a chance at a return. Gets some blockers. 2 men to beat. Dances towards the 5. What a play by Kanye Tyler, the 2nd interception of the day for Pekin.
Not only a great interception from Tyler, but able to pick up the extra yards, almost gets that one juke move. Could have had 6 there, just got brought down, but what a spark for Pekin. That's one way to fire up your offense as they go on the field.
Every time Pekin has gathered an interception, they sign their head coach's visor. Doug Nutter has done it for years, Pekin's head coach, a tradition that started outside of Pekin. He's brought it to Pekin. He might need a new visor after today, running out of room. Pekin goes to Tanner Sprecher on 1st and goal, and he's stuffed.
Stopped at the line.
2nd down.
Second
The
down
best
and goal.
opportunity either offense has had so far today.
And we've seen Pekin, how big they've been on the goal line throughout the season. It's a big opportunity for them to strike first.
Braden Beckham in there at fullback. It's Sprecher again, keeping the legs moving before he's pushed backwards by Lincoln Adams. Pekin knocking on the door on 3rd down.
See if they just continue to run Sprecher up there.
Come on, Dragon fans, let's hear it.
We don't typically see Pekin pass on the goal line stands, but at 3rd down, you never know.
Jordan to the end zone, and the catch from Bo Benassi.
There's that combo hooking up once again.
The senior connection comes through for the first score. Jordan and Benassi have known each other since 1st grade. They used to play against each other all the time in basketball and baseball. They've made quite the combo on the football field this season. Miley Hansen, the girl kicker, drills the extra point. She hit the game winner last week and converts her first opportunity here today. 7-0 Pekin.
Passionate, focused, strong. Qualities that you look for in a great athlete, and also a great lawyer. At Strong Law Offices, injury law is at the heart of what we do. Our team is on your side. When the game is on the line, let us tackle your claim.
As the snow intensifies in Pekin, the Dragons take a 7-0 lead on a 3-yard passing touchdown from Scott Jordan to Bo Benassi. The big combination last week, picking up where they left off here in the 7A quarterfinals.
Miley Hansen will kick off.
Miley Hansen will boot it away. Like Zurich with Tyler Erkman back deep.
Yeah, right before we went to break, home crowd chanting Miley. Part of the reason they got in this spot. Miley with big extra point last week to power them to a win.
She boots it short there, and it's recovered by Lucas Lappin. And so now Lake Zurich will have to respond. But John, they've been in many situations where they've trailed this season, especially earlier in the year. Their lone loss came against St. Charles North in week 2. They lost 21-10. The next week, they trailed 10-0 to Stevenson at halftime, but came back and scored 13 unanswered in the second half to win. On 1st and 10, Gondek gives to Grabowski, and he's got no room.
It always adds a little bit of extra confidence to that team that scores first. In this case, Pekin having that 7-0 lead, as good as their defense has been, it only fuels them a little bit more. And Lake Zurich trying to get something going here on offense against this Dragons defense.
2nd down and 11 for the Bears.
That's a loss of 1 on 1st down. Grabowski back in there. Gondek with 3 receivers, gives to Grabowski. Puts his head down, spins out of a tackle, and lunges forward to pick up a gain. 3rd and medium.
We're seeing just a lot of little chunk runs here from Lake Zurich. Haven't hit that big play yet. It's going to have to come here on this another 3rd down situation for the Bears.
Moves the ball to the
he can try to make a big stop.
3rd down and 6.
3rd down and 6.
It's going to get harder and harder to pass as the snow keeps coming down. Gondek, QB draw, lowers the shoulder, gets to the sticks, but where's the spot?
It's going to be close.
What a tough run from Ashton Gondek. A lot of quarterbacks would slide there, but Gondek put his body on the line. Makes it 4th and 1.
See if we see a big run here. They elect to punt.
Wow, they bring out the punt team on 4th down. As you look at the weather forecast there, 12-mile-per-hour winds, and it feels like 26. Danny Vukovic is out there. Got to watch for the fake in spots like these, though. It's not a fake. And it's sent away. Tyler calls for the fair catch and makes it. So now Pekin has the opportunity to go up 2 scores as the lights come on.
And early on in this game, Pekin's defense has been so solid, and I think that's credit to them. Lake Zurich electing to punt there on 4th and 1. They know how strong that defensive line's been up front. The last thing they want is a turnover to put Pekin in great field position, but now the Dragons another offensive chance here.
And it does help that Lake Zurich will receive the second half kickoff, something to keep in mind, and I'm sure head coach Ron Plans kept that in mind on that play call. 1st and 10. It's the give to Tanner Sprecher. He runs into the offensive line and is shaken down at the line of scrimmage. In case you're just joining us, a 3-yard pass and catch from Scott Jordan to Bo Benassi as the lone score after a slow offensive start for both teams in the first quarter.
33-yard line. 2nd down and 7.
Sprecher still in there. Jordan with the hard count almost got him to flinch. Sprecher dragged down. Looks like that one almost went for a loss. No gain is the official yardage. That makes it 3rd and 7. This Lake Zurich defense, especially against the run game, showing why they've been so effective all year.
They have, and Pekin almost running that similar style offense from last week where they continue to run Sprecher and then switch it up with the pass play in there. We saw that on that goal line on the last score. The fake to Sprecher and throw to Benassi, executed perfectly.
Jordan back to pass. Stays in the pocket. So much time. Chased out now. He finds Kanye Tyler over the middle. It's going to be close to the sticks. I think he's short, Joko. Brings up 4th down.
Now faced with another situation. Does Pekin punt or go for it? It looks like they'll punt as well.
Dragons, Luke Goss.
So Lake Zurich's defense comes up big with the stop, and their offense is going to get at least one more opportunity before half. And if they play it wisely, they could have a 2-for-1. First things first, the punt. Looks like Lake Zurich is going to bring the house. Goss with a bad snap. He's in trouble. He can't even get it off. What a play by the Bears special teams.
And if you're looking for a turning point for Lake Zurich,
Bears on the sack.
they were going to get the punt initially, can't get it off, and they get great field position if this stands.
We have a whistle.
The penalty is here.
John, I didn't see the flag thrown, but the officials are indicating that something's going on.
There's a flag deep on the field.
As they all huddle at the 25-yard line.
They're pointing towards the Lake Zurich sideline. It might be a sideline warning. No.
Pekin's offense going to get the ball back, it's looking like.
Penalty against the Bears.
Before or after the punt or before the punt attempt, I should say. Need some better clarification on that.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, it looked like. So it'll be a 15-yard penalty. And Lake Zurich student section is stunned.
What a turn of events there for Pekin. Initially, Lake Zurich going to get the ball at the 20-yard line. Turns out, Pekin back at midfield, a chance to score.
Complete 180. Is indeed first down Pekin.
I don't think the home crowd will mind that.
Sprecher on the carry. He's busting it big this time for the first down.
That almost could take the wind right out of your sails. You get all that momentum. You got the ball back at the 20. Penalty. It's right back to Pekin, and they're trying to push that ball downfield. If they play this right, Larry, they're able to keep driving the ball downfield. They got an opportunity to run this clock down.
Sprecher up to 46 yards on the ground on 12 carries. It's been a grinded out game for him. He grinds it out again. Stopped at the line. And John, almost every single time that Sprecher has gotten the ball, he's been touched at the offensive line, and that's a huge credit to Lake Zurich's D-line and their linebackers.
Yeah, they know that. Tanner Sprecher is a player. You got to meet him at the line, otherwise he's going to break tackles and get through. And that's the key to trying to stop a player like this. But it's really hard to say how to stop Tanner Sprecher. He's just been such a force. Right now he's picking up those little yards here and there and still paying off for Pekin's offense as they're moving forward.
2nd and 10. Jordan on the option. The late flip to Sprecher. Cut back, gets him a few extra yards. Under a minute to go in the first half. Both teams with 3 timeouts.
Spencer's 12.
And Larry, you could pose the question now as we approach 45 seconds left
Moves the ball down to the
in the second quarter. Do you go to the air or continue to try to run the ball and maybe use one of your timeouts?
Plenty of options. Jordan will pass, steps up, over the middle for Tyler, and he can't make the circus catch.
Pass attempt incomplete.
Johnny had it in his hands but dropped it at the last second.
Intended target, Kanye Tyler.
The way he fell on his back, it almost looked like he corralled that right in his chest. What a tough play, wide open there in the end zone as he was falling backwards, but credit to Scotty Jordan, what a throw right on the mark.
All right, Dragon fans.
Jordan once again has been on the money. Threw an early interception, but what a turnaround it's been for him. It's 4th down and 4 with 31 seconds left. Out of field goal range for Pekin. So this is a no-brainer to go for it after a timeout. And we'll take this opportunity to remind you and thank our great sponsors at State Farm, starting with Zach Butler right here in Pekin. For all your insurance needs, visit Zach online at sfbutler.com or give him a call, 309-347-3115. It's Zach Butler, State Farm. And all our good neighbors around the Peoria area helping us bring you all the best action all season long. Jody Brown in Peoria, jodybrownagency.com. Jake Weston over in Washington, jakewestoninsurance.com. And of course, Zach Butler here in Pekin. Pekin Dragon himself supporting the community, and that's been one thing that has really stood out about this playoff run. Everybody in this Pekin community rallying behind this team.
4th down.
See if Pekin draws up another one of those pass plays.
Fourth and 4. Jordan, good protection, into traffic. What a catch by Tyler. John, after he dropped the touchdown, he mosses him that time.
Even more impressive about that, the one that he dropped, he had some space, he was open. This one goes over his defender's shoulders to catch it. That was a great pull down there from Tyler. Now Pekin, really good opportunity here with 25 seconds left. You still got those 2 timeouts.
You got 25 seconds, and if you keep it through the air, Obviously, you take the 1st and goal out of account, you can probably run 4 or 5 plays. Jordan in the gun. Tyler in motion. Sprecher flips it back. Jordan to Tyler. Nothing there.
Pass attempt incomplete.
I think Jordan saw that defender coming in, wanted to get that ball off quick. Sails over the head of Kanye Tyler. Pekin pulling a couple tricks out of the bag, though. I like the flea flicker idea.
That's one that you scroll through the playbook on Madden to find. Usually you don't see it on 1st and goal, though. Head coach Doug Nutter not afraid of digging deep.
And I think Pekin knows how big this would be to try to go up 2 scores, especially with Lake Zurich getting the ball back in the second half.
Nutter calls timeout. Doesn't look like he's too happy.
Timeout, Dragons.
And John, you mentioned Pekin with the opportunity to go up 2 scores here. So how aggressive do you play this? Do you go to the ground maybe on 2nd down?
You got to be really, kind of sure of yourself which play you call here. Larry, with 1 timeout, 19.4 left on the play clock, do you try to go to the air? If it's an incomplete, clock will obviously stop, but if you keep it on the ground, you're going to want to make sure you get some good yardage to maybe set yourself up for that other pass and use the timeout, but realistically, maybe 2 plays here if they can.
Pekin with 1 more timeout. Lake Zurich has all 3 just in case something drastic happens. Might be tough to go pretty much the length of the field in 19 seconds though. Jordan, play action to Tyler again, and it's picked. There goes Lucas Lappin down the sideline, brought down by Tyler. Just what Lake Zurich needed, and the home crowd is silenced.
Kanye Tyler bringing him down.
And not what you want if you're Pekin right there. Gives Lake Zurich 1 more opportunity. We'll see if they just decide to take a knee and go into halftime or try to run this play. Lappin able to read that pass, get in there and intercept it. Now we're equal on interceptions, 2 for 2, both sides.
Gondek with 9 seconds out of the pocket. The Bears are going to try and make something happen. Gondek is brought down at the sticks. And that'll be all for the 1st half. We expected an incredible defensive effort, and that's what we got. The difference is a Scott Jordan touchdown pass to Bo Benassi at the start of the 2nd quarter. But other than that, it's been all defense, John Camosa.
Yeah, it has been a defensive battle. And on paper, you see that Lake Zurich's only allowed 7.7, Pekin 17 points roughly. So we knew this game would probably be heavy defense early on, and that's exactly what we've seen. Just that 1 touchdown from Pekin. Scott Jordan and Bo Benassi. Other than that, a lot of interceptions, a lot of big stops on the line.
And before we go to our halftime programming, we want to thank our sponsor, Zach Butler, State Farm in Pekin. Home, auto, life, whatever your insurance needs are, Zach can keep you safe with some pretty solid defense himself. 309-347-3115 or online at sfbutler.com. And all our good neighbors around the Peoria area, Jody Brown, Zach Butler, and Jake Weston. We thank them for their support all season long. We're going to send it to our first halftime break. When we come back, we'll have interviews, analysis, you name it. Jonathan Michael coming up on the halftime show. Stick with us on Clutch Sports Media and CIProud.com.
The Fox has become known for some of the best British and American pub fare around. And for you craft beer lovers, we have 25 ever-changing draft handles. Whether it's lagers, IPAs, stouts, or ciders, the Fox has something for everyone. Join us at the Fox Pub in North Peoria.
Do you see the world the way I do? My mom says I play too many video games, but what she doesn't know is that I'm actually making more money than she is as a YouTuber.
Lacey, do you know why there's a new car in the driveway with a bow on it?
You're welcome, Mom. At OSF Healthcare Children's Hospital of Illinois, they see the world the way I do. They put kids first, with care designed just for me.
The Fox has become known for some of the best British and American pub fare around. And for you craft beer lovers, we have 25 ever-changing draft handles. Whether it's lagers, IPAs, stouts, or ciders, the Fox has something for everyone. Join us at the Fox Pub in North Peoria.
Welcome back to Pekin. I'm Jonathan Michael. Alongside me, John Camosa. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to this game, the CSM halftime report. And John, what a great first half it was. A quick one, rather. I mean, both teams, lots of defense, lots of 3-and-outs, lots of turnovers as well. Overall, what are your main takeaways?
Yeah, I think Larry and I kind of touched on that right before halftime. You knew this game coming in was going to be a defensive battle. We've seen that, happen in the first two quarters. Pekin with a huge opportunity right there on the goal line, but how about the stand from Lake Zurich to get that interception?
Definitely, and that interception from Lake Zurich. A couple interceptions, though, for Pekin as well. That huge one from Kanye Tyler. Boy, he is playing an amazing game. They say big-time players come up in big-time games. This is the biggest game of his high school career, and he doesn't want it to be his last. They want to move on to the 7A state semifinals. Again, Tyler, in my opinion, at least from what I've seen the first half, he was my real first half MVP, I would say, for Pekin.
Yeah, not only offensively but defensively with that big interception. He's been all over the field. And not only that, getting that chase down tackle at the end, Lappin had a really good opportunity to take that back for 6. We could have been a tie ball game right now, but Tyler able to get that tackle. Pekin still ahead 7-0 at halftime. Lake Zurich does get the ball, so we'll see how their offense shifts here in the second half.
Definitely, and one thing that stood out to me, Joko, at least in the first half, was Pekin, I think, is, at least to me, again, it looked to me, they've looked like they're dominating in the trenches. I mean, on their offensive line, Scotty Jordan has had all day to throw on multiple occasions. And then also on the defensive side, Braden Beckham and Jace Hackman are making lots of plays on the D-line, and Lake Zurich, at least so far, hasn't really had a lot of ground success.
Yeah, and I think that's been the turning point for Pekin all season, a reason why they're undefeated 11-0 this season. It starts right with that defensive line, and like you said, John, the offensive line. They're creating some of those holes for Tanner Sprecher to get through. Even though he's had chunk yardage, they've still had the plays that mattered. But really, it starts with defense, and Pekin hosting a shutout now at halftime. It's a big vocal point.
Definitely, and Pekin leading at 7-0. It's been a great first half. We'll take a quick break here on Clutch Sports Media and at CIProud.com. Come back with more halftime analysis and interviews right after the break.
Hi, I'm Tim Vonderheide. Vonderheids has been Central Illinois' flooring leader for over 75 years, and our goal has never changed, giving you the best selection of flooring at prices you can afford. Because after 75 years, Vonderheids is still the place to go.
Passionate, focused, strong. Qualities that you look for in a great athlete, and also a great lawyer. At Strong Law Offices, injury law is at the heart of what we do. Our team is on your side. When the game is on the line, let us tackle your claim.
Hi, I'm Tim Vonderheide. Vonderheids has been Central Illinois' flooring leader for over 75 years, and our goal has never changed, giving you the best selection of flooring at prices you can afford. Because after 75 years, Vonderheids is still the place to go.
Welcome back to Pekin. I'm Jonathan Michael for Clutch Sports Media. Alongside me is our crew member and a Pekin High School student, Teddy Ball. Teddy, I know this has been an amazing season for Pekin. You've been able to get a front row seat to it almost every week. And overall, I mean, it's been a great first half, a great season for you guys. What's it been like overall, just being as a student and, you know, being able to support them through this historic season?
Yeah, John, it is really, really cool. I have a lot of pride for Pekin. It's been really fun. Before I joined Clutch, I was in the Fire Pit Nation every single week, and since I've been here, you know, it's kind of hard to keep my cool and just kind of, you know, play like neutral, but, you know, some of the times when I'm up there recording, it's hard to keep my calm, but today I'm pretty excited, and hopefully Pekin can close it out.
Definitely, and, you know, Teddy, I know it is pretty cold up there running the cameras. I mean, a couple weeks in a row, you've been freezing your butt off, for lack of a better term, out there. But again, Teddy Ball doing some great work for us on camera as well. But overall, what do you think has been the most special part about it? Maybe like, you know, a certain player. What have you seen overall that has just been really just refreshing and great to see?
Overall, I mean, I think some of the key factors for Pekin, obviously, you know, a lot of people talk about the running back tandem that they have with Kanye and Sprecher, but it goes much more deeper than that. As you can see, defense is playing really well. Braden Beckham is really, really good, but I think one of the most underrated part about Pekin is how many takeaways they can get. I think I saw during advisory the other day, I have a few Pekin players in my advisory, and they have like over 17 takeaways and quite a few here in the playoffs. So Connor Drowns, I think he is a big part of this team. Some other of the defensive backs are really, really good too.
Definitely, and, you know, I know that you're, you know, good friends with a lot of guys on this Pekin Dragons squad, and, you know, I'm sure you talk to them quite a bit. Like you say, you just have them in advisory class, and I'm sure some others as well, maybe texting them a little bit on the side. But, you know, overall, what have they been saying? I mean, has it been – because I know as an athlete it can be kind of tough to, you know, stay level-headed when you're having such a good season and everything like that. I just kind of want to know what you've seen, how the players have, you know, kind of reacted and taken in this season.
100%. I would say none of them are taking it lightly. Every opponent they go against, they respect and they watch film every single week. So I know they're not taking anything lightly. They're expecting everything that comes towards them, and they look like they are just as excited and ready to go into the state, like farther into the state playoffs as the fans are.
Definitely, and, you know, Teddy, I know you're also a Pekin resident as well. Overall, what have you seen the fan support be like? Because we drove into town, and almost every business and building, even the McDonald's, the Arby's, insurance agents, everybody has dragon signs up. I mean, I'm sure this have dragon fever, it seems like.
Yeah, so, I mean, with Pekin, it's like we don't really have, like, a college in the area or anything like that, besides like Bradley, but we don't really have, like, a big football college in the area. So a lot of people in the area, especially Pekin, obviously, but they come in here and they pack in. It's a big community here. Everybody, like, turns out. Even on the road, last week against Normal, Pekin showed up. Fans were packed in the others, like the student section and everywhere, really. But I think, you know, the crowd is what really helps this team, and it can help a lot of, like, you know, a lot of these games and closeout scenarios and situations that would be a lot harder without them.
Definitely. Well, Teddy, really love your insight again. That's Teddy Ball, our Clutch Sports Media crew members, doing a great job running camera, braving the elements, snow, cold, wind, you name it, as well as our other camera rappers, Latif Love, Thatcher Zalewski as well, doing a great job. We'll take a quick break here from the CSM halftime show, come back with some more halftime interviews and analysis, and we'll get you ready for the second half coming up in a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere.
It's getting colder. Remember these great tips to keep your water flowing. Remove garden hoses. Winterize your pipes. Let faucets drip occasionally. Know where your water shutoff valve or power to your well is. Open cabinets to allow heat to reach pipes on exterior walls. Winter water tips. Sponsored by Kickapoo Drilling Company.
There's a lot of talk about big corners, big dealers, big inventory, and big lots. At Bob Grimm Chevrolet Morton, we believe the biggest point is being missed: the buyer.
We never got any surprises. When they told us a price, that's what it was. That's why I kept coming back. We just always enjoyed the way they treated us. They truly do it the Bob Grimm way, which is they treat the customer like they want to be treated.
Visit GrimmChevy.com and drive away your new vehicle your way. That's the Bob Grimm way.
It's getting colder. Remember these great tips to keep your water flowing. Remove garden hoses. Winterize your pipes. Let faucets drip occasionally. Know where your water shutoff valve or power to your well is. Open cabinets to allow heat to reach pipes on exterior walls. Winter water tips. Sponsored by Kickapoo Drilling Company.
Hi, I'm Tim Vonderheide. Vonderheids has been Central Illinois' flooring leader for over 75 years, and our goal has never changed: giving you the best selection of flooring at prices you can afford. Because after 75 years, Vonderheids is still the place to go.
Passionate. Focused. Strong. qualities that you look for in a great athlete, and also a great lawyer. At Strong Law Offices, injury law is at the heart of what we do. Our team is on your side. When the game is on the line, let us tackle your claim.
Hi, I'm Tim Vonderheide. Vonderheids has been Central Illinois' flooring leader for over 75 years, and our goal has never changed. Giving you the best selection of flooring at prices you can afford. Because after 75 years, Vonderheids is still the place to go.
Welcome back to Pekin, and alongside me, John Camosa, I'm Jonathan Michael, bringing you some more halftime coverage here. Again, the Dragons lead Lake Zurich 7-0 at the half. Just a couple minutes left to go, but John, we found out some big news just now. Batavia has taken down Yorkville 17-6. That game has gone final. So the winner of today's game here in Pekin will face Batavia, the 18 seed. After beating Hersey, second seed of round 2, they take down another big opponent.
Yeah, so for Pekin, they have the 7-0 lead right now. Whoever wins this game, Pekin would host next week if they go on to win. That's huge for the Dragons knowing that, but Batavia, another tough matchup. Lake Zurich, on the flip side, they want to come out here and try to steal this win. Like you said earlier, John, nobody wants to go home this far in the playoffs.
Certainly, and lots of other scores around the area. Weren't able to get any other ones. We know that Peoria High, another Peoria area team, obviously, they're down in Mascoutah. That game, I believe, probably still in the first half. I believe that's a 3 p.m. kickoff. We'll try and get you updated and kept in the loop about the Lions and Mascoutah, but that's another big game. And it looks like Peoria High leading at 14-7, 1 minute to go in the first quarter. So Larry Larson gives me a nice little score update there on his phone. But the Lions lead 14-7 early. It's a big offense. It's already putting up points in what we assume is also harsh conditions down in downstate Illinois.
Yeah, and the winner of that game would get Muhammad Seymour or Morris. Muhammad Seymour, who we just saw knocked off one of the local teams in Metamora last weekend. So big game for Peoria High today. If they can pull that out, Lions, like Pekin, trying to make that deep run in the postseason as we have few local teams remaining.
Definitely, and for Peoria High, they're a little bit more accustomed to going deep in the playoffs. They obviously their state championship run just a couple years ago. Pekin, though, is uncharted territory. They lead 7-0 here at the half. Overall, just real quick, what are your keys to the game for Pekin in the second half, and also Lake Zurich as well?
Yeah, I think keys to the game, let's start right out of halftime. A defensive stop for Pekin. You don't want to give any more momentum to Lake Zurich. You already have the lead. I think if Pekin can try to get that ball back, they want to go down and make up for that lost play that was an interception on the goal line.
Sounds good, Joko. Well, again, for John Camosa, I'm Jonathan Michael. We'll take a quick break here on the Clutch Sports Media halftime break and come back with more of the second half right around the corner coming up next.
The Fox has become known for some of the best British and American pub fare around. Beer lovers, we have 25 ever-changing draft handles. Whether it's lagers, IPAs, stouts, or ciders, the Fox has something for everyone. Join us at the Fox Pub in North Peoria.
I couldn't get through life. Keep hoping and praying for a miracle. That's what these machines are. These beds start pulling your back slowly apart. You get blood flow. And when you get blood flow, you're going to get the nutrients, you're going to get the oxygen. Your back can start to heal. If you're thinking about a back surgery or you have a back injury that's causing you to not live like you want to live, why not come and talk to Doc? Because it's a free consultation and it could change your life.
The Fox has become known for some of the best British and American pub fare around. And for you craft beer lovers, we have 25 ever-changing draft handles. Whether it's lagers, IPAs, stouts, or ciders, the Fox has something for everyone. Join us at the Fox Pub in North Peoria.
Welcome back into Pekin, everybody. Larry Larson and John Camosa in with you. Appreciate you joining us on your Saturday for IHSA 7A quarterfinal football. Season on the line for both these teams. And, John, this one has lived up to the hype. One of the state's best offenses in Pekin against one of the state's best defenses in Lake Zurich. And so far, Pekin has won out.
Yeah, as the temperature continues to drop, more snow is falling. in for a really exciting second half. Early on, Larry, though, what a defensive battles. 4 interceptions combined between Lake Zurich and Pekin. This has all the makings of a great quarterfinal matchup.
John, let's dig into the stats a little bit, and we can't show them on the screen, but looking at the box scores, what really jumps out to me is time of possession. Pekin has been largely in control of this game, holding the ball for 16 minutes and 52 seconds in the first half.
Yeah, it's been really impressive controlling that clock. We saw how quick that first quarter went. Second quarter went by in a breeze as well, but Pekin's really picking up just chunk yardages, running the ball a lot. 25 rushing attempts for 103 yards to Lake Zurich's 10 for only 12 yards on the ground. 23 yards total offense to Pekin's 164. So we have seen just a defensive stout performance here from Pekin early on, but equally as impressive defense from Lake Zurich too.
Digging into Pekin's stats a little bit, Scott Jordan with 2 interceptions, but he's got the difference-making score, a 3-yard pass to Bo Benassi.
Yeah, kind of picking up where they left off last week against Normal Community in that win, and Bo Benassi was huge at wide receiver for Scotty Jordan, getting open, able to find his target, and something we don't typically see on the goal line from Pekin this year, as we've seen Sprecher and Tyler run the ball. We saw that fake to Sprecher. Jordan rolls out. He throws to Benassi for a touchdown. That's Pekin's only score. We'll see how Pekin's offense kind of comes out here in the second half.
Getting set for kickoff. Pekin will kick, and Lake Zurich will receive. Lake Zurich in a familiar spot, Joko, as they trailed 6-0 at the half last week on the road at the defending state champion, Wheaton North. But they took care of business in the second half.
Yeah, they did, able to come back and get that win, and that is credit to their defense as well, able to close it out. And right now, I think both teams, they don't want to see their season end, so this is going to be a crucial second half.
Crucial second half, and I'm sure a crucial second half for the vibe at that tailgate party across the street from Pekin Memorial Stadium. Excellent work from our crew. I want what some of they're having. Got the grill fired up. Making me hungry.
Some hot food on a cold day sounds pretty good right now.
As a firework fires off overhead, we are ready for the second half of action. Miley Hansen will boot it away. She went 1 for 1 in her lone extra point attempt in the first half. And her kickoff attempt, John, worth noting, was a short one, a pseudo onside kick. We'll see if that happens again here.
Got the wind slightly to her back.
Listen to these fans. They love Miley Hansen, the first ever girl football player in Pekin history. And she starts the second half. The boot goes to the left side to Spencer Kuehl. Kuehl with one man to beat on the sideline, splits the defenders and is brought down into Pekin territory. Just what the doctor ordered to start the second half for Lake Zurich.
Yeah, if Lake Zurich wanted to come out here in the second half, make a big statement, they do it right there on the return. Puts their offense in great field position.
Mark it at the 36-yard line.
Ball on the Pekin 36 for Ashton Gondek and company. Gondek, the senior quarterback who started his high school career at Lake Zurich, then transferred to Carmel Catholic for 2 years, and then came back for his senior year. Earned the starting quarterback job this summer. He gives to Chris Peroni, and he picks up a nice gain on first down. But I asked head coach Ron Plans about Gondek and how he was able to earn that job. He said that Gondek has brought so much confidence and stability. He said, I don't know how to describe it. He's just got that QB moxie about him, that swagger that you want out of your starting quarterback.
It's so good to have that senior leadership at quarterback. Definitely fires the offense up. Not only that, the whole team get behind him and bring that energy.
Erkman in motion, flag flies, and that's a false start. John, that's one thing that we did not see very much in the first half was much involvement from Tyler Erkman, who you could argue is the single most important player on this Lake Zurich offense. He had 1 catch for 11 yards on the first play from scrimmage.
I think Lake Zurich will definitely want to get him more involved in the second half. He's such a playmaker for the Bears. That's credits to Pekin's defense. They've really keyed in on Erkman, not letting him get open.
Coach Plans for Lake Zurich said they realized midway through the season last year that Erkman was a guy they needed to figure out how to get him the ball on a consistent basis. They have this year, but not today. Gondak looking long for Erkman, has him open, just like that. A quick strike could tie the game. Who else but Tyler Erkman?
Well, they wasted no time, about 2 minutes into this third quarter, to get their best player involved, and that was a one-handed catch that he pulls into his left hand, and just like that, Lake Zurich right back into it.
Vukovic on for the extra point to knot it up.
Vukovic in for the point after.
Well, last week it was Erkman with a touchdown that sealed the game. This week, he ties the game. Could get him within tying distance. The snap is bad, but the kick is good. What a recovery by Lake Zurich special teams. And this ball game is tied up at 7. What a response by the Bears.
And wasted no time doing that. It's downfield, scores in a hurry. Now we got ourselves a ball game, 7-7. How will Pekin respond after that big score from Lake Zurich?
Well, John, it was ironic, just as we were talking about it, you knew it was only a matter of time before head coach Ron Plans and company figured out a way to get Erkman the ball.
And almost spoke that into existence there, talking about him being limited downfield. Quickly gets by the secondary, wide open there for Erkman to score that touchdown.
Erkman's 8th touchdown of the year. It seems like every single one in the playoffs gets bigger and bigger. Vukovic will send it away. It's Kanye Tyler and Connor Martin back deep to return.
And Tyler back deep for the Dragons.
Vukovic, more often than not, can send it through the end zone. This one twirls end over end, and Connor Martin wanted to return it, but it is indeed a touchback.
Touchback for the Bears.
So Pekin will start from their own 20.
First and 10 for the Dragons.
You can see Martin was fired up. He wanted to take that one downfield.
Martin did have a kick return touchdown back in the first week of the playoffs. Part of Pekin's romp over Plainfield Central.
20-yard line, first and 10 for the Dragons.
So now Scott Jordan and company have their opportunity to respond. Jordan gives to Tanner Sprecher. He's got a hole up the middle, and he takes advantage. Gain of 12.
On the carry.
How about Sprecher, though, just pulling defenders with him, able to get those extra yards for the first down. And it's been such a force back there for Pekin.
John, one thing that we haven't mentioned in the second half so far is the weather. It's been snowing all day, but one thing that I've noticed is that big American flag, it is waving in the wind. Pekin keeps it on the ground with Sprecher. Flags fly.
We have flags on the play.
I think this is the one that's going to go against Lake Zurich.
I think you're right. As soon as that hit happened, both flags were thrown.
Speaking of flags, there's Old Glory waving in the wind. And John, our assumptions are wrong. The penalty goes against Pekin. It's a hold. So that makes it 1st and 20. Sprecher still back there. Jordan to pass. It's Tyler on the catch. Almost got back to that original line of scrimmage. Makes second down a little more manageable.
And going back to that flow that they had last week, running the ball consistently and going back to the air, trying to find another one of those big plays. You can see that time of possession, like we talked about in the first half, Pekin just continues to eat away at that clock and run these long possessions.
Jordan over the middle to Tyler. Same play, different result. First down, Pekin.
You see the Dragons finding their rhythm, moving the ball downfield. Getting into a flow here at home.
Kanye Tyler emerging in the passing game. That's his 4th reception, up to 37 yards. Tyler, one of the captains of this ball club. His teammates tell me that he's known for his passionate halftime speeches. Tanner Sprecher gives those speeches too, and he rips off a big run on first down.
Talked about him all season long, Larry, but got to mention him again. Sprecher, huge run there that was followed up by Kanye Tyler. Should say vice versa, but these guys just able to power him downfield.
First down, Pekin.
Pekin regaining that rhythm that we saw before the half, before Scott Jordan threw his second interception. Jordan in the gun. It's Sprecher up the gut. Almost slipped past Tyler Berkeley, but he tripped him up.
Tanner Sprecher on the carry. Andrew Davidson
brings up second down and 8.
And that defensive line that was really putting a stop to Sprecher, not allowing any of those big runs. He's finding his footing here, able to get through that line, and second and 8 situation, or I should say second and 9 situation. Do they look to throw the ball? They've been switching it up back and forth pretty much all game.
So often today, John, Lake Zurich has brought 8 in the box. That's the formation you see here. They play 5 linebackers, and that's been pretty effective. Sprecher keeps the legs churning through the box for another first down. That's one thing with Tanner Sprecher. When he's gone this season, Pekin's offense goes. He's starting to get going.
Kind of the fuel to their fire, gets this offense really motivated. Like you said, Larry, once he's running his best games, everybody else is clicking on this offense.
Pekin stays with Sprecher in the backfield, and they keep it with him. Sprecher spins past the man, one man to beat, on his feet to the goal line. Down at the 1.
26-yard gain on the play.
Just short, but what a run.
Tanner Sprecher have a game. Past the 100-yard mark again. Injured Bear on the field. John, that's Tyler Berkeley, one of those starting senior linebackers. He gets up under his own power, but he's going to come out of the ball game
For Tyler Berkeley.
as Pekin sends out the goal line unit, including Braden Beckham at fullback.
And goal on the 1 for the Dragons.
Haven't seen this all year. Maybe give it to your big guy at fullback.
Beckham does have a rushing touchdown this year. Came in week 9, a blowout win over East Peoria. Bo Benassi, the lone receiver. The give to Sprecher. Can he get there? No.
Sprecher on the carry.
The Bears keep him out.
I think they're going to mark it, or I should say spot it down before the fumble there. Right at the 1.
Just shy of the goal line.
Sprecher comes off frustrated that he doesn't get to finish it off, at least there. Maybe Kanye Tyler will get a chance.
We got that big block with Beckham right there in front for whoever's going to try to power this one in.
Shaman Handigan also on the line. Jordan on the keeper. That'll do it. Waiting on the official signal, and he is in. Jordan with a rushing touchdown for the second week in a row, and Pekin's back in the driver's seat.
Say, Larry, didn't signal it initially. I was thinking there's no way that he didn't get over that line after that big shove from his teammate. Had all sorts of room, and Pekin just like that, able to go back up.
Hansen on for the extra point. Kick is up, and it's good. Hansen 2 for 2. And Pekin leads by 7. Lake Zurich responds out of the locker room, and Pekin comes out and responds after the Lake Zurich score. Take this opportunity to thank our great sponsors this afternoon. Zach Butler State Farm here in Pekin. Home, auto, life, you name it. Zach Butler's got you covered. 309-347-3115 or sfbutler.com. And all our good neighbors around the Peoria area. Jody Brown, State Farm in Peoria, Zach Butler in Pekin, and Jake Weston in Washington.
Closing at the end of this quarter. Once again, the concession stand will
State Farm agents covering us all season long, helping us bring you live coverage right into your living room.
Riley Hansen will kick off for the Dragons.
So now, John, the dynamic of this game really feels different, especially for Lake Zurich. The most points they've allowed in a game this season is 21, and that was in their lone loss in week 2.
And right now, Pekin on the cusp of that 14. But this is going to be a huge shift in this game. Pekin's defense a chance to step up big and try to keep this lead they have. Lake Zurich obviously trying to go back to that play downfield. They want to get Erkman involved again here on offense.
Erkman is one of the returners. Pekin keeps it on the ground. And the Bears recover without much of a struggle.
Ball is down.
Good job by Lake Zurich's Kason Woodzilla.
Tongue twister.
Didn't have that one on our pronunciation guide.
So the Bears will start their possession on their own 44-yard line.
So it'll be 1st and 10 from the 44 for Lake Zurich. And John, a little bit of a calculated risk by Pekin there to kick it short.
I'm not sure the strategy behind it. Maybe trying to get your line up there up quick, try to get the ball back, but it puts Lake Zurich in great field position.
Gondak out to throw. Now he keeps it and scrambles to the sideline, dragged down out of bounds. Gondak looking for the flag, but doesn't get it. A borderline hit as Cam Hodgson dragged him down out of bounds.
49-yard line.
2nd and 5.
It'll be 2nd and 5 for the Bears.
We've seen Gondak make some pretty throws today, but mainly the Bears have kept it with the run game. Their lone scorer coming on a pass to Tyler Erkman. Peroni on the carry. Gain of 2. 3rd and short.
Stopped by the defensive line for the Dragons.
Lake Zurich just trying to pick up those little chunk yards. Faced with a 3rd down situation, see if they maybe go back to the air. That defensive line has been so strong up front for Pekin. Not giving them a whole lot.
So often, high-level games are determined by who is better in the trenches on the offense and the defensive line. Both teams with great fronts here today. Gondak to pass, and he throws it short. Incomplete. Brings up 4th down. He was looking for Nicholas Quiros.
4th down for the Bears.
And Lake Zurich brings out the punting unit.
That was a big stop for Pekin, able to get the ball back. With their offense, who's been dialed in, another chance
into punt for the Bears.
Getting downfield.
Kanye Tyler back deep for the Dragons.
Tyler is back deep to return. Vukovic, the future Division I kicker. Can't get it off. It's blocked by Hodgson. Pekin recovers. What a play.
How good has he been on defense? Pekin comes up with great field position.
Dragons will set up on the Bear 44-yard line.
So Pekin gets its own great field position. 1st and 10 on the 44. Dragons getting it done on all facets. Scott Jordan to Tanner Sprecher with plenty of room. One man to beat. He stiff arms. Brings him down at the 5.
Previous drive, huge run, sets him up at the goal line. This one, almost in the same spot. How big has Tanner Sprecher been in this Pekin offense?
He shrugs his shoulders.
Ball on the 5-yard line. Where it is.
That's all you can say. Sprecher up to 128 yards. 1st and goal at the 5. Kanye Tyler in at running back. Pekin with the opportunity to go up 2 scores. Here's Tyler, puts the head down, and he's stopped.
Kanye Tyler on the carry.
Last week we saw Kanye Tyler bowl over a man in the end zone and stand over him in celebration. So often Pekin thinks, and many around the area, think of Tanner Sprecher as that heavy back, but Tyler can play that role too.
Yeah, they both play with a lot of power, both very fast. And Tanner Sprecher might have a little bit more size, but Kanye Tyler certainly won't shy away from contact.
Tyler again doesn't shy away from the end zone. 2-score lead for the Dragons.
Clicking on all cylinders offensively.
Miley Hanson for the point after.
Pekin with back-to-back scores in the 3rd quarter. Hanson's extra point floats through the uprights. This crowd can taste it, John. Pekin on the brink of the semifinals for the first time in school history. But you can't get too ahead of yourself, as Pekin and Lake Zurich know very well.
I think having that lead, 2 touchdowns now, Pekin's putting a lot of confidence into their, or I should say a lot of trust into their defense here to try to hold Lake Zurich scoreless in this quarter.
From the concession stand.
But right now, the offense for Pekin, it's really been working out for them on all assets.
Once again, all grilled food and pizza half price.
Sounds like all grilled food and pizza is half price at the concession stand in celebration of that latest touchdown. Maybe those Lake Zurich fans need to go get some.
Back deep for the Bears.
Pekin ahead by 2 scores late in the 3rd quarter. Hanson ready to send it away. Line drive kick. Gets all the way back to Tyler Erkman. Trying to make something happen. Stays on his feet. Still on his feet. He's got a blocker out in front. Erkman down the sideline. He beat him. Tyler Erkman does it again.
Return for a touchdown.
His 2nd kick return touchdown of the postseason brings Lake Zurich back within a score.
What a turn of events there. Erkman bounces off some tackles there, spins, and beats his last man downfield for a score.
No hot food needed anymore. Tyler Erkman provides the hot sauce.
Vukovic for the point after.
Vukovic for the extra point. Snap high again.
And it's good.
The kick is even higher, nearly out of Pekin Memorial Stadium.
It's the Bears.
Looking at
14,
Erkman's
your
stats,
Pekin Dragons, 21.
those not updated to include today. That's all through the air for Tyler Erkman, but boy, he can get it done on defense and he can get it done on special teams too. He is going to be an asset for that North Dakota program.
And we talked about this earlier in the broadcast, Larry. Talked about Lake Zurich needing to get Erkman going to get back in this game, and they've certainly done that. Big touchdown through the air, and then that return for a score cuts it to 1 touchdown.
It's Pekin 21 and Tyler Erkman 12. Lake Zurich trailing by 7 once again.
Once again from the concession stand, all grilled food and pizza half off.
Connor Martin and Kanye Tyler will have their own opportunity if Vukovic doesn't send it over their head.
Vukovic will kick off for the Bears.
And John, again, that's what you can expect from a high-level football game on such a big stage. Neither team's going to give up, and the momentum could turn at any given moment. And it feels like it really just did. The life has been sucked out of this place.
Yeah, that's the one thing, with a game like this, quarterfinal matchup, all of a sudden Pekin's up 21-7. You're thinking Pekin's in control. Lake Zurich, big touchdown right out the gate there. And now Lake Zurich on defense, they make a big stop. They're right here.
Here comes Connor Martin. He gets a try. There goes Martin. Brought down at the 45, but a flag down.
Number 44, Connor Martin. On the kickoff.
And Larry, you touched on that opening round playoff game against Plainfield Central.
We have a flag on
Almost
the
does the
play.
same thing right there, that kick return.
Is there a play in football that's more exciting than a big kick return?
I don't think there is.
Penalty holding against the Dragons.
That big return coming back, holding against Pekin. So Martin's big return partially erased as the Dragons
Penalty puts the ball on the
will
Dragons'
start
23-yard line.
at their own 23.
So it'll be 1st and 10 from their own 23.
Still lots of ball game left. Under 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. Scott Jordan leads his offense onto the field and gives to Tanner Sprecher, who's stuffed at the line.
Tanner Sprecher on the carry.
David Pena-Herrera
Pena-Herrera on the stop.
stops him.
Now in that 2nd down and 10 situation, does Pekin try to go to the air? Right now, the ground game's been working for them on their last
2nd
few
down
possessions.
and 10 for the Dragons.
Especially with Tanner Sprecher, who's got 174 yards. Play action, the throw to Bo Benassi. A catch for a short gain. Makes it 3rd and short.
That one was also tipped a little bit. Benassi, good job. Keep his eye on it and haul that down.
Moves the ball to the
Benassi, a
29-yard
multi-sport
line.
athlete, good hand-eye coordination there. He's got basketball season coming up. He said he was in the gym the other day, but of course he can't
3rd down
practice
for the
yet
Dragons.
with these football playoffs still going on. Crowd comes to life on 3rd and 4. Hand again in motion. It's Sprecher, stiff arms a man in the backfield. Gets close to the
Tanner
chains.
Sprecher on the carry.
And that'll move him.
Just anytime they needed that big answer, on 3rd down,
Gain of
Sprecher
4
able to
yards
pick it
on the
up.
play. Moves the ball to the 33-yard line, where it is.
And Larry, that's one thing that we talked about at halftime. Time of possession for Pekin, doing a really good job of running this clock down. They can almost take this lead into the 4th quarter with only 2 minutes left here in the 3rd.
Clock still winding down, now under 2 minutes. Pekin in no rush. Looking for a response to the Tyler Erkman kickoff return touchdown. Jordan slings it to Benassi again, and he's stuffed by Erkman.
Pass complete to Bo Benassi.
Gain of 3.
Tyler Erkman on the coverage.
What a fun matchup that is. Tyler Erkman against Bo Benassi.
That's two great players going at it. Just a lot of great talent on the field, both sides today.
Sprecher behind Jordan in the pistol. Sprecher. Brought down short of the chains. Third down and short again. Pekin has had no trouble getting 2 or 3 yards in any given play today, especially with number 8 in black in the backfield.
Third down and a long 1.
As he's almost to the 200-yard mark on the ground. Sprecker's just been a workhorse for these Dragons.
Jordan throws this time over Tyler, and it falls harmlessly to the turf. Nate Bremen in coverage. Good work. Makes it 4th and a long 1. And Pekin's keeping the offense on the field.
It's going to be a big-time play.
Down, Dragon fans, let's hear it.
Jordan, the hard count. Looks to the sideline, calls the audible. They're going to run it. It's Sprecher to the outside, past the sticks, and more.
Not only does he get the first down, but how about tacking on some extra yardage there? Another great run from Sprecher. He's up to 182 on the ground.
Flag down, it looks like. And it's blocking the back against Lake Zurich.
Tack on some more yardage for Pekin.
You don't see that very often on defense. But it marches Pekin deeper into Bear territory. 19 seconds left in the third quarter. Sprecher to the sideline for a breather.
Bear 33-yard line, where it is.
Tyler in the backfield. And John, it wouldn't surprise me if Pekin just lets the clock expire on this third quarter. The clock is on their side.
It certainly is, and try to open up a new quarter here, 4th. I think they might just do one more running play here and take this one into the 4th.
Clock is running, and Pekin will let it go. To the 4th quarter we go. 12 minutes remain. Season on the line for both sides, and Pekin is 12 minutes away from its first ever trip to the state semifinals. Stay with us on CSM and CIProud.com.
Passionate, focused, strong. Qualities that you look for in a great athlete, and also a great lawyer. At Strong Law Offices, injury law is at the heart of what we do. Our team is on your side. When the game is on the line, let us tackle your claim.
Welcome back to a cold and snowy Pekin Memorial Stadium. It's the IHSA 7A quarterfinals, and Pekin is in the driver's seat. They're driving, already ahead by 7, searching for their first ever trip to the semifinals. Lake Zurich on the ropes. They trailed last week in the second half on the road against the defending state champion Wheaton North. Came back and won that one. They'll need another comeback here today.
And Lake Zurich knows it's going to start on the defensive end right here. To come out and make a big stop. equally the same for Pekin. They know how big this offensive possession is right here in the fourth quarter.
Out of the quarter break, Kanye Tyler in the pistol behind the quarterback, Scott Jordan. The senior gives to the senior, and Tyler can't slip past the defensive line. Makes it second and about 8.
Number 88, Nicholas Salerno. Gain of 2 on the play. It'll be second down.
Nate Snap on the stop there. Lake Zurich's defense has allowed an average of 7.7 points per game this season, getting tested by the Pekin Dragons. Kanye Tyler again wrestled down. Cal Grabowski met him for the stop.
And this matches the season high that they allowed in a loss, 21 points. Right there, if Pekin can try to find that end zone again, they would surpass that mark of the most points allowed from Lake Zurich. And right now their defense not wanting that to happen, as their defensive line's been really sound up front.
The Bears allowing just 12 points total in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs.
3rd down and 6 for the Dragons.
3rd down and 6. Tanner Sprecher, the senior running back with 192 yards back in. A patient run, but the patience doesn't pay.
Tanner Sprecher
brings up 4th down, a huge stop for the Lake Zurich line.
No gain on the play.
They weren't hesitant to do it last quarter. Did they go for it on 4th again? Coach Doug Nutter, big decision here.
Here we go. Correction, 4th down.
Doug Nutter keeping his offense on the field. This is out of field goal range, especially with this wind today.
6. Come on, Dragon fans.
3 receiver set. Bo Benassi at the bottom of your screen. Jordan steps up over the middle, has Tyler, but it's over his hand. Tyler got past the defense again. We've seen that a few times today. Jordan just a little bit too much on it.
And he's had Tyler open. It's just they're sailing just slightly over his head, but another good throw from Jordan there as he's finding those receivers through the secondary. You got to think too, Larry, with that wind playing a factor, the snow coming in, it's going to be hard to get some of those passes right in the hands.
Now Lake Zurich takes over with a chance to tie the game. Ashton Gondek, the quarterback, gives to Chris Peroni. And the junior back is wrapped up at the line. A little pushing and shoving after the play. Got to keep an eye on that. Jace Hackman got there first.
Stopped by the right side of the defensive line.
But John, again, the big plays today, they've all come from Tyler Erkman. A kick return touchdown and a big passing play for Lake Zurich's 2 scores. They really haven't been able to get anybody else going.
Yeah, that's just credit to Pekin's defense, how good it's been. They keyed in on Erkman early. Right now, they're going to want to do that again. They've been able to get him going, so watch for their secondary to try to contain him.
Erkman in the slot on the top side of your screen. Gondek hits him. Erkman makes one man miss, trying to drag Hodgson with him. Flags everywhere.
I think you're going to get the face mask there.
Pass was complete to Erkman. Dragons Cameron Hodgson on the stop.
Good job by Cam Hodgson to stay with that, John. A physical play, still awaiting the call. Personal foul, face mask against Pekin. Too much physicality from Cam Hodgson.
And Hodgson, tough play there on defense, trying to play Erkman one-on-one. Maybe kind of goes for the shoulder pad as he did that quick hesitation. Gets his hand caught up in the face mask. That one's going to move Lake Zurich downfield.
Into Pekin territory. 1st and 10 from the Dragons' 47. Cal Grabowski is the back. Gondek, plenty of time. Chased out by Beckham. On the run, wrapped up by Shaman Handigan. Second down. John, more often than not today, Gondek has had a lot of time in the pocket. Again, you got to give more credit to Pekin secondary.
Yeah, doing a good job of containing those receivers. He elected to run there again. Nobody open downfield, and then those linebackers close in on the quarterback. Another big stop for Pekin.
Tight end Clausen in motion. Gondek gives to Grabowski. He goes to the outside and bowls over a man to the 40. Brings up a huge third down.
Ball carrier number 8, Cal Grabowski.
Pekin so good on third down last week.
Moved the ball just short of the
This
40-yard
week,
line.
they've kept the streak going. Lake Zurich 0 for 5 on third down today. Third down and 4. Grabowski on the carry, trucks Sprecher, and he's off to the races. Tripped up at the 20. 8-on-8 crime. What a run from Grabowski.
We talked about him so much earlier in the broadcast, Larry, getting Grabowski going as well. This is only his second carry, and they're moving him right downfield. As he lowers his shoulder. Another big run for Grabowski.
Those are the two players that were compared to each other by a lot of personnel from both teams. It's 1st and 10 at the Pekin 20. Lake Zurich on a drive trying to tie the game. It's Grabowski again. A little less eventful that time. Gain of 2 on first down.
Grabowski once again on the carry for the Bears.
John, head coach Ron Plans for the Bears described his team as old-fashioned, blue-collar, and just tough. And I think Cal Grabowski really epitomizes that ground-and-pound runner that's going to be really hard to bring down.
Yeah, I think we've seen that throughout the game, just solid defense. Like you said, ground and pound, getting out in the air. Like Zurich trying to tie this game up.
Chris Peroni gets the carry here. He fits that mold too. And he's knocked down out of bounds. Couldn't get the edge. Brings up another huge third down.
On the carry. Hodgson and Browns on the stop for the Dragons.
Grabowski comes back in.
Ball
Tense
on the
moments
12-yard line.
in the visiting bleachers.
It'll be 3rd down and 2.
Season on the line for Lake Zurich. Trying to make their 10th ever trip to the state semifinals. Down by a touchdown with about 6 minutes to go. 3rd and 2. Grabowski plunges into the line. It's going to be close.
A little bit short. I think it is.
It's 4th down.
This could be the turning point of the game if Pekin can make a big stop.
Lake Zurich in a hurry. They go no huddle. 4th and 1. Gondek to Grabowski. He got it that time.
Grabowski punches it through for the 1st down.
That's the one they needed. Lake Zurich, Grabowski, they've just went to him on the ground late in this 4th quarter, able to pick up those yards, and now Lake Zurich in really good position.
Ball's on the 8-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal from the 8.
First and goal.
Right, Larry, can Pekin make that big stop like they did last week against Normal Community?
They had not one but 2 red zone goal-to-go stands against Normal Community to help set up a 4th quarter comeback win to advance to this point. Might need to do it again. Peroni is the back. And a timeout called by Lake Zurich. Head coach Ron Plans saw something he didn't like. We'll step aside. 1st and goal coming up after this on CSM. Tonight's presentation of playoff football on Clutch Sports Media is brought to you by Zach Butler State Farm in Pekin. Home, auto, life, all your insurance needs. Give Zach a call, 309-347-3115. Zach Butler, your good neighbor in Pekin. Also brought to you by all your good neighbors around the Peoria area. They've got you covered. Jody Brown in Peoria, Zach Butler down south here in Pekin, and Jake Weston over in Washington. You can find their information there on your screen. Glad you're with us on your Saturday. It's been a barn burner in the quarterfinal round of the IHSA 7A playoffs. Lake Zurich in the midst of a drive. Coming out of the timeout, it's 1st and goal on the 8. One receiver set. It's Erkman on the left side of your screen. The throw goes to Erkman. Another touchdown. 3 scores for Lake Zurich, and they all belong to Tyler Erkman. The game of his life in the biggest game of the year.
Took him a little while to get going, but now Erkman has been in full control for this Lake Zurich offense.
Danny Vukovic on to tie the game.
Vukovic for the point after.
Another high snap, but a flag flies. The Bears may have lucked out there.
We have a flag on the play.
Offsides against Pekin.
Against the Pekin Dragons.
The Dragons would have been able to hang on to the lead. On all 3 extra point snaps, John, it's been high.
Gonna have to put this one in his hands. I don't want that one to sail over. And they're going for 2.
Here comes the Bears offense. Ron Plans rolls the dice. The crowd rises to its feet.
All right, Dragon fans, on your feet. Let's make some noise.
Doug Nutter waves his arms at the crowd. Ashton Gondek, the quarterback, all alone in the backfield. Piggott in motion. Gondek under pressure to Piggott, wide open for 2, and Lake Zurich takes the lead. What a play call, what a play, what a drive. Lake Zurich in front.
And they're going to be in a similar situation. I shouldn't even say similar, almost identical situation as last week. When they're trailing, can Pekin get downfield and try to take that lead? Not a whole lot of time left in this game, but Lake Zurich able to get downfield and get in the end zone with Erkman. What a game. We knew we were going to see a good game coming in. This has lived up to every bit of the hype.
Lake Zurich with an incredibly risky play call. And Jackson Piggott, a sophomore who has emerged as a key receiver for Lake Zurich, comes through. And head coach Ron Plan said it himself. He said so often defenses focus on Erkman, and Piggott has been the guy this year a number of times. He gets himself open again. And Lake Zurich snatches its first lead today. Vukovic back onto the field. Connor Martin and Kanye Tyler back deep. Wind blowing from left to right on the field. Whistles blow.
Kick here for.
This one's going to be a false start. So that moves Vukovic back 5 yards, offsides rather. So that's going to give Kanye Tyler and Connor Martin even more of a chance to return this. Both very dangerous.
think almost last week's game helps Pekin being in a situation where, hey, we got to rally back. We're down, something they haven't really seen all year. Try to use that to their advantage, but in one of the biggest games in some of these players' lives, here it is.
Vukovic sends it deep. It goes to Connor Martin. He gets another chance. Martin with a head of steam, knocked down at the 30.
Martin on the kickoff return.
Great special teams play by Lake Zurich.
Ball will be spotted at
And
the
now it's up
30-yard line.
to
It'll
their
be first
stout
and 10
defense.
Pekin.
They've been electric all year. And head coach Ron Plant said it himself. He said, we still believe in the old adage that defense wins championships. It could get them to the semifinals this year. The give to Sprecher, somehow still on his feet. Stopped short of the chains.
Tanner Sprecher
Looked
on
like
the
Sprecher
carry.
had his hand on the ground, but he stayed up for a nice first down run.
Pekin knows how big this drive is. This could be their season on offense. Tanner Sprecher gets up there with a full head of steam, and look at 4:15 left on the clock. Make or break here for the Dragons.
Pekin with all 3 timeouts. Sprecher in the backfield. Gets the carry again, spins out of the first tackle. He's brought down shortly after. Lucas Lappin in there among a few other white jerseys.
No gain on the play. Third down.
No
and 4
gain.
for the Dragons.
3rd and 4. We haven't seen a throw in a while, Joko. Do you think they dare go to the air?
Down, Pekin.
It's tough to say. 3rd and 4. They might try to keep it on the ground.
Jordan with the hard count. The snap a little early. Jordan trying to improvise, and he can't. John, the crowd got real loud there, and that's the disadvantage.
And not the play that they wanted. One of his blockers were set, didn't know it was coming that quick, and just like that, now you're in a 4th down situation. Got to try to have your biggest play right here.
4th down and 3.
The crowd's only going to get louder. Jordan, play action, and he's picked off. Lincoln Adams, one man to beat, brought down at the 10. Scott Jordan intercepted for the 3rd time this game. And the Bears defense could get them one step closer towards the championship.
Big time play for Lake Zurich, interception.
Bears
gets it all the way down to the 10.
10-yard line. It'll be
There's a
first
bigger
and goal
time you need to stop
for
for
the Bears.
Pekin. It's got to be right here. With 2:46 left,
Here we go, Dragons.
Lake Zurich likes the spot they're in.
Goal to go on the 10-yard line. This is it for Pekin. Gondek on the ground to Peroni. He's stopped. But John, the biggest factor in a situation like this is even if Lake Zurich can't punch it in, this is a sure bet field goal for Vukovic, who's hit from 52 this year. This is a chip shot.
And in hindsight, if they don't get the touchdown or if they get it, just get the field goal out of this, you put a lot of pressure on Pekin if they can get the ball back.
Gondek, hard count. Peroni again, knocked down.
Peroni on the carry.
He got helicoptered down.
Moves the ball down to the 6-yard line.
Do you think Kanye Tyler wants to
It'll
see
be
the season
third
end?
down.
Not on that one.
Time out, Pekin. We'll step aside.
Time out.
Game on the line, season on the line, and a comeback effort from Lake Zurich. Back after this. Playoff football on CSM and CIProud.com. Brought to you by Zach Butler State Farm in Pekin. Your good neighbor right down the road from Memorial Stadium. Got you covered for all your insurance needs. 309-347-3115. And all our good neighbors around the Peoria area. Jody Brown in Peoria, Zach Butler here in Pekin, and Jake Weston in Washington, helping us bring you coverage all season long. 3rd down and 6. A must stop for Pekin. The crowd comes to life again. Under 2 minutes to go. Gondek to Grabowski, cuts back, trips and falls.
Kel Brakowski on the carry.
Tried to cut it back inside, lost his footing there. It's going to help Pekin's chances out.
The ball down to the
now
4-yard line.
Comes down to a 4th down.
Timeout Dragons.
So Pekin takes another timeout. So if they get this 4th down stop, barring a field goal from Lake Zurich, they'll take over deep in their own territory with 1 timeout left. Likely their biggest challenge this year. But first things first, John, 4th and goal on the 4-yard line. If you're the Bears, what's the play call?
I think you try to go right up the middle. You know, if not, roll out. Maybe try to find that pass play like they did with Erkman. Tough call here, but trying to make sure they can find a hole in that defense. Right now, Pekin's look so sound up front. They want to make the biggest stop of their season right here. And then back to your other point, Larry, if Pekin does make this stop, they get the ball back with 1 timeout, it only means one thing. Pekin's still got to start going to the air with 1:46 left in this game.
If Lake Zurich were to kick the field goal here, it would make it a 4-point game. They're going to keep the offense on the field. Lake Zurich going for the jugular.
Keep an eye on Erkman.
Erkman at the top of your screen. Gondek rolls out, throws over the middle. It's incomplete.
Not going to get it. How about another huge stop for Pekin? Shades of last week, and Larry, it's the biggest spot of Pekin's season coming up for a chance at a semifinal berth.
Scott Jordan has had a frustrating game today after his best game of his career last week. 3 interceptions. But he could erase that from his memory and Pekin's memory if he can engineer a game-winning drive here. 1:42 to go, 1 timeout for Pekin. It's Tanner Sprecher in the backfield. Jordan back to pass, throws to Tyler, and he dropped it. He hit him in the hands in double coverage, but he couldn't hang on. And John, in a situation like this, execution is mandatory.
Yeah, it's going to start getting really tough, especially with how good Lake Zurich's secondary's been. They contained that one pretty well, and 2nd down and 10 situation. Pekin, they know how big this drive is.
Bo Benassi, the receiver at the bottom of the screen. Jordan throws risky into traffic. Was looking for Houston Roberson. He got it through the window, but again, no catch. And it's 3rd down. And John, I don't think Lake Zurich would want it any other way. The game lies in the hands of its defense.
It's been their focal point all season, and they know that if their defense can hold, they'll be headed to the semifinals.
A school and a defense that's produced multiple NFL players, including Jack Sanborn of the Chicago Bears. Pekin runs the trick play. Tyler drops it. Couldn't get it to Jordan. Needs to get out of the end zone, and he can't. It's a safety. Lake Zurich is going to move on.
I think it's going to be a touchdown is what they're ruling.
Shock and awe in Pekin.
An extra point here, Larry, would make it an 8-point game. Pekin still has a shot, but
But if they go for 2, and it looks like they will, they're going to take a timeout to talk it over. 2-point conversion puts it out of reach.
Yeah, that would put it out of reach and put all that trust in the offense right there. But the execution on that play, that end around with Tyler, almost a flea flicker design play, lost the handle on it. Jordan couldn't get it back, and
so this is another must-stop situation for Pekin. They'll have another chance if they can get a stop here, but that's no sure bet with Cal Grabowski and company in the backfield. And it looks like Bears are swapping out some personnel, going to a heavier set.
yeah, they know they can put this one away right here with 2.
.122 remaining. Both teams with 1 timeout left. Pekin with 1 breath left. This is it.
So Larry, they are going to kick the field goal
for the point after,
unless they try some trick play. But
so they bring out the special teams unit. They're going with the sure bet. Danny Vukovic, high snap again, and he drills the extra point.
And it's good.
And it falls just short of the scoreboard. So that makes it 29-21, an 8-point game. And that's an interesting call, especially considering that Lake Zurich and Ron Plans went for 2 earlier to take the lead in a spot that maybe they didn't need to. Here, they're going to give Pekin a slight chance.
it doesn't get easy. If Pekin can somehow get downfield, score this ball, cut it to 1, or I should say cut it to 2, you still have to get the 2-point conversion. So a lot to ask for with 1:22, but the Dragons not out of this game yet.
Some Dragons fans heading for the exits. But we caution you watching at home, not so fast. Not over quite yet. Now if you're Danny Vukovic and Lake Zurich, do you boot this one deep or do you keep it on the ground?
I'd go deep with this one.
For the Dragons. Danny Vukovic will kick off.
Pekin praying for overtime and a drive of a lifetime. Vukovic does send it deep towards Kanye Tyler. He'll have a chance to return it. Tyler wrapped up at the 20.
Kanye Tyler on the kickoff return. Tyler
trying to find that big play, but comes the special teams unit from Lake Zurich as they wrap them up.
With 1:19, Dragons will set up.
Larry, do you continue to go to the air here? Do you try to get that big run? It's
at their own 21-yard line.
Kind of a tough call because Lake Zurich's defense has been all over the place, not only stopping the run, but the pass as well.
Pekin with one last chance to keep a dream season going. Scott Jordan hits Kanye Tyler, tried to get the line, he couldn't. Clock keeps running.
Moves the ball to the 24-yard line.
2nd and 7, just a 3-yard gain, under a minute to go. Crowd wants a snap. Jordan climbs the pocket, now escapes the pocket and runs for the sideline for the first down. Heads up play from Scott Jordan. He's rolled the dice a lot of times today, but he doesn't there.
Great decision from your senior quarterback. Sprints out the sideline, gets out of bounds. Still 46 seconds left.
A lot of confusion on Lake Zurich's defense. Jordan fires, hits Tyler. He cuts back to the middle of the field, and he's sandwiched. Not a lot of time. They got to go, and Doug Nutter is going to burn his final timeout.
Timeout, Dragon.
It's not a timeout you want to call in that situation, but you almost have to. By the time they get back to the line, you're another 10 seconds ran off the clock, and it only gives you about 1 or 2 plays.
And John, Kanye Tyler was really trying to make something happen there, but in a situation like this, you really can't cut back towards the middle.
Yeah, you got to get out of bounds on that. And I think by the time he caught it and was already coming upfield, he didn't have time to turn around and try to get to the outside and go back out of bounds. Defense closed in on him pretty hard.
So what's the message in the Pekin huddle?
You know, with 36 seconds left, try to get something across the middle or take that huge shot downfield. It's about your only hope.
2nd down and 4 for the Dragons.
Second and 4. Jordan pressured, directs traffic, throws over the middle, and that's an illegal forward pass.
Brings up 3rd down.
Jordan was well past the line of scrimmage by a yard or 2. That means that's a loss of down.
We have a flag on the field.
Pekin pulled off a epic comeback win last week against Normal Community. They're trying to look for that same magic in the playbook again this week. Only 29 seconds to do it.
Still waiting on the official call. Deliberations ongoing. And it is an illegal forward pass.
Moves the ball back to the 42-yard line.
So that's a 5-yard penalty.
3rd down.
But no loss of down. 3rd down. Jordan throws, has Sprecher for the first, and he gets out of bounds.
Yeah, anything caught now downfield's got to be towards that sidelines, got to get out of bounds. Sprecher does it right there. Still hope for Pekin.
Moves the ball into Bear territory. Ball on the 47-yard line, where it is. 1st down, Pekin.
They get across midfield. Jordan trying to get the offense in position. He does. Clock at 20 seconds. Jordan pressured again, looking for Benassi.
Pass attempt incomplete.
Another risky pass falls to the turf.
2nd down.
And those are going right through defenders. Just barely threading the needle. And Larry sending a lot of receivers out there, but that coverage has been so strong in the secondary for Lake Zurich.
Pekin out of timeouts with a borderline miraculous comeback last week. It'll really take a miracle this week. Jordan over the middle has Tyler. Tyler, there he goes.
He's gonna get there.
Into the house. Can you believe it?
Pekin with the miracle. but wow!
Kanye Tyler with the play of his life. Scott Jordan with the throw of his life.
Larry, I thought we saw it all last week in the game against Normal Community. This is blown that game out of the water.
Pekin needs to punch it in for 2 to tie it up and likely get this game to overtime.
Here we go, Dragon fans.
Braden Beckham in at fullback, and Tanner Sprecher is the running back. Timeout, Lake Zurich.
Timeout, Bears.
Could there be a bigger two-point conversion try than a trip to overtime with semifinals on the line? What a game we've seen here in Pekin today.
The play of the year from Kanye Tyler, but Pekin needs one more to get it to overtime. And John, I think Kanye Tyler's probably the only player on this Pekin roster who could have pulled something off like that. He caught that ball in the middle of the field and outraced 3 defenders to score.
Well, that was the thing. It was such a great catch, and you're thinking, does he have time to get out of bounds? He wasn't going out of bounds. He was headed for the end zone.
As soon as he caught that, I was thinking, okay, are they going to have time to get up and clock it? Tyler was thinking the house all the way.
Now, do you run that heavy set? Do you try to get the ball on the ground in there or go for the pass? It's up to Coach Doug Nutter and the Pekin Dragons. We'll see what they do.
Pekin 3 yards from overtime. Sprecher is the back. He gets the carry, and he stopped short. Lake Zurich's defense prevails. It almost slipped away, but when it mattered most, the Bears bared down.
What an effort from Pekin. Just stopped short.
Pekin with no timeouts, but they're going to have a chance at an onside kick. So once again, Pekin's season lies in the hands of Miley Hansen. On the leg of Miley Hansen.
Miley Hansen will kick off for the Dragons.
Dream season on the verge of slipping away from the Dragons. Pekin led this game 21-7. Now they're clinging to their last hope. You can hear the nervous energy. Hansen rolls, and Lake Zurich falls on it.
That's going to do it.
An incredible comeback and an incredible game for Lake Zurich. They come back to beat the defending state champion last week on the road.
50-yard line.
And this week, they do what nobody else did in 2022, and that's slay the Dragons. Lake Zurich moves on to the semifinals for the 10th time in school history.
Just an incredible game.
What a great year.
Unbelievable effort for Pekin. Comes up just short on the goal line in that two-point conversion try. Lake Zurich holds on.
of the city of Pekin and all their fans to support the football program. Thank you,
And
fans.
John, a season that had incredibly high hopes for the Pekin Dragons. The best season in school history, first 11-win season in school history, comes to a heartbreaking end.
I don't think Pekin's got anything to hang their heads on. What an incredible season for the Dragons. Comes up just short in the quarterfinals, but they ran into a very good Lake Zurich team. Great effort by both sides.
And John, perhaps what sticks out the most is Pekin fought until the very, very end. An incredible, miraculous touchdown from Kanye Tyler. The play of the year for Pekin, but it's not enough. And the celebration is on for Lake Zurich. This is the expectation for the Bears year in, year out. And they deliver as their one win from state. So Lake Zurich will take on Batavia next week. And that game is going to be at Lake Zurich. They will play for a ticket to state on their home turf. And John, I'll ask you what you think the turning point of the game was, but for me, I think it was that two-point conversion call, without a doubt.
I think it was that call. I mean, without that, you're not in this situation, and that was big. You know, after Pekin goes up 21-7, all the momentum, and then, Larry, we talked about this. Lake Zurich's got to get Erkman going. They got to get him in this game. Well, he answered the call. 3 touchdowns in this game. They get him back in there. He scores some huge touchdowns for the Bears, and just like that, they're able to hang on for that 2-point win.
Back for more post-game analysis right after this on CSM and CIProud.com.
Interest-free for 6 years at Steger's. Your bank can't do it. Your credit card won't do it. But Steger's will. No interest charges in 2023. None in 2024. Not even in 2025. No interest for 6 years. Only at Steger's Furniture and Mattress.
There's a lot of talk about big. Big corners, big dealers, big inventory, and big lots. At Bob Grimm Chevrolet Morton, we believe the biggest point is being missed: the buyer.
We never got any surprises. When they told us a price, that's what it was. That's why I kept coming back. We just always enjoyed the way they treated us. They truly do it the Bob Grimm way, which is they treat the customer like they want to be treated.
Visit GrimmChevy.com and drive away your new vehicle your way. That's the Bob Grimm way.
Interest-free for 6 years at Steger's. Your bank can't do it. Your credit card won't do it. But Steger's will. No interest charges in 2023. None in 2024. Not even in 2025. No interest for 6 years. Only at Steger's Furniture and Mattress.
Welcome back to Pekin Memorial Stadium for the final time this season as Lake Zurich roars back and the Bears defeat the Pekin Dragons and hand Pekin their only loss this season, and it's a season-ending loss. Larry Larson, John Camosa back in with you to wrap this one up. I want to thank our sponsors here this week and all football season. Zach Butler, State Farm here in Pekin. Home, auto, life insurance, you name it. Zach's got you covered. 309-347-3115 or online at sfbutler.com. And all our good neighbors around the Peoria area making our coverage possible this year. We want to thank our entire crew doing an excellent job tonight under snowy, windy, and freezing cold conditions. Jonathan Michael at the controls, Rodrigo Perez, our director, Latif Love, Thatcher Zaleski, and Teddy Ball up on the top of the press box, the true heroes of tonight's production. But John, final thoughts. True hero for Lake Zurich, Tyler Erkman, but it was a true team effort, and it came down to their defense, which was tested today. They allowed a season high in points, but in the end, they prevailed.
Yeah, they really, they put it all out there with their defense. They relied on their defense heavily, especially with that last stop on a 2-point conversion. Tanner Sprecher, we know how strong he's been all year. Their defensive front line holds tough, and Lake Zurich pulls it off by 2, but equally as impressive on the offensive side once they got Erkman going with those 3 touchdowns. Just great all-around effort.
And the noise you hear is the Pekin Dragons leaving the field for the final time this year. And if you look closely, you see the emotion. Some of them just can't bring themselves to leave the field for the final time. And John, this is a season that ultimately had state title hopes for the Dragons. Undoubtedly the best team in the Middle-Illini Conference, Middle-Illini Conference champion. And Tanner Sprecher told me a few weeks ago, we want to give this town something that it has never, ever seen before. And even though they fell short today, they did that.
Yeah, they brought so much to this community. You saw the support today, how full it was in the home side bleachers, and even some Pekin fans over on the visiting side. But I mean, what they've done for this community and the team that they brought here, the energy, it's been nothing but positive. And like I said earlier, Larry, nothing to hang their heads on. This has been an incredible season for Pekin.
A dream season comes to an end for the Pekin Dragons. An incredible senior class calls it a high school career. But the run continues for the Lake Zurich Bears. They move on to the state semifinals. They'll host Batavia next week, and they are one win away from Champaign. That does it for our football coverage this year on ClutchSportsIL.com. Again, want to thank our entire hardworking crew for working through the conditions this afternoon and this evening, and we want to thank you for joining us this afternoon and all season long. For my partner, John Camosa, this is Larry Larson saying so long and good night from Pekin. The final score, Lake Zurich comes back once again, and they defeat the Pekin Dragons 29-27 to advance in the 7A playoffs. So long, everybody.